North America's largest developer of dollar stores. Over 4,600 stores open since 1993. For more information, visit our website at dollarstoreservices.com.
Starting out, my name is John LaFronz. I'm the general manager here at Dollar Store Services, and I've been here since 2001, so I've been here a very long time in this business here at Dollar Store Services. Good evening, welcome. Prior to my time here, I owned some of my own stores. I also did overseas buying, import buying for a national chain, and operated a chain of stores as well. So I've always been in the discount, good evening, welcome. I've always been in the discount dollar store type industry, basically my whole life. And so I hope I have some good information to share with you. Dollar Store Services, we are the largest retail developer in the United States of independently owned retail stores, and we've opened over 4,000 stores since 1993. We offer a comprehensive package that covers each and every aspect of opening and running a dollar store long term. We take all the guesswork out of it for you. We do several different types of stores. We do a dollar only store, which is like a Dollar Tree. We do a Dollar Plus store, which is very much like a Family Dollar or Dollar General. And we have an exciting new concept we rolled out this year. It's a 1, 2, 3 store, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the evening. Our package of services consists of 7 key components. We provide you with financing assistance. We provide you with site location assistance. We help you negotiate the lease agreement. We actually do that for you in lockstep with you. Once the lease is completed, we do the complete setup of the store, including all the labor, the fixtures, the equipment, the merchandise, all the interior signage, and much, much more. We also provide comprehensive training for you prior to your store opening, and we do that over the internet. We have a set of online modules and also via telephone. So it's very, very intensive, and it can be done on your schedule at your convenience. As part of the store package that you buy, you become a member of our merchandise network, and that's extremely important because you're going to save 20 to 25% on merchandise that you order each and every time you order just by being part of our network. In other words, if you were an independent owner outside of our network going to that same supplier, you would pay 20 to 25% more for the same product that you're going to buy via our network. So it's a very significant benefit. If you were to buy, for example, $300,000 in merchandise next year, you would save $60,000 to $75,000 simply by being in our merchandise network. So it's extremely important. And then, of course, once your store is open, you get unparalleled long-term support, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. In terms of financing, I want to go back through these very quickly, if that's okay. In terms of financing, we have lenders that can address virtually every level of risk. They look at your credit scores. Within 72 hours of putting in your application, you will know what type of financing you will qualify for, what the terms are, and you can make the decision as to what type of support. We also have available assistance with SBA lending, 401k, and IRA rollovers, where you can basically borrow money from yourself at very minimal expense. So there are a lot of different ways to finance your store. Right now, with the housing boom, a lot of people are choosing to use the home equity in their home to finance their store, which is, of course, about the least expensive money that you can find to use. So that's always a great option, too. So financing is the first step. Once you come on board, that's the first thing we do. We see what you can get funded for, unless you're going to self-fund your store, and you can make the decision as to whether or not you choose to go forward with that financing. If you do, the next step is for us to move you into site location. And in site location, we assign a team to work with you, a site location specialist and a leasing manager. Most of our leasing managers negotiate over 100 leases a year, and I think our youngest one has been with us for 7 years. So as you move into site location, we work with you. We identify every location that's available in the area that you have interest in the size range that you've determined you want to develop. Then we eliminate the locations that, for one reason or another, don't meet our basic criteria. They may be too close to a competitor. The asking rent may be so high that it might not be feasible to negotiate to an acceptable level for you. But then all the locations that we believe have merit and are worthy of you taking a look at, we upload into a proprietary website that we call EasyTrack. We developed it some years ago specifically for our own use and the use of our clients. You will have full access to that website, and on it you will see all the pertinent information about every location that's under consideration. The population at 1, 3, and 5 miles, the demographic information, the ethnicity, the traffic going by the shopping center, the household income, and many, many more markers that are important to assessing the value of a location. You also will see a map of where all the competitors are located in and around that location. You'll also have a map and tenant roster of the shopping center itself, so you can see who the co-tenants are. And there are a lot of factors that go into determining what a good location is, and we educate you to all of that as we work through that process. As we identify locations that we like, and then locations that you like as well, we have you go visit them and do an assessment as to the condition of the inside of the location, because we're going to need that information to know what to negotiate for with the landlord. Is the space requiring new flooring? Does it need paint? Whatever those things might be, you'll get in there, you'll see those needs. We'll go ahead and negotiate for them for you. So as we negotiate on locations, you'll be in complete tune with what we're doing. We'll review every initial letter of intent for you. We'll renew the counter proposals that come back from the landlord and so forth. In our letters of intent, which is the first thing that we present to a prospective landlord, we see a location that you like, we negotiate over 17 key provisions, all of which are designed to provide you the maximum protection on the lease. And a few of these, I'll just give you a couple of examples. We negotiate for what's called a dark clause. And what that clause does for you is if you, for example, lease a location that is anchored by a Target or a Walmart or a grocery store, and you like that center and you choose to locate your store there because you know that big box store is going to create traffic for you. Well, one of these days maybe that store decides to close or relocate. Well, now all of a sudden the shopping center that you signed on for isn't the shopping center that you have. So with that dark clause, usually you have several options. You can have your rent suspended until the landlord repopulates that location. You can go on a reduced rent, or you can opt to move your store to another location, another shopping center. Those are some of the things that we would negotiate in terms of that dark clause. Another key clause is the making sure that the restrooms are ADA compliant, and that would be that they're handicapped accessible according to the Americans with Disabilities Act. If a restroom that you have in a space that you lease is not compliant with the ADA, you may be required to retrofit that bathroom, expanding the space, moving walls, providing new fixtures and the handrails and so forth. It can be a $10,000 or $12,000 cost to you just to get the bathroom ready. So we want to make sure that we've negotiated for the landlord to do that, not you. And again, there are many other provisions like that, and again, all designed to protect you. So once we've negotiated the lease, and typically we'll negotiate on several locations because we want to be able to sit back with you and compare and contrast one location against the other in terms of both the rent, the population, the traffic, all those other factors, and determine what might be the best option for you. The final decision, of course, is always going to be yours, but we will give you all the factors that you need to weigh to make that best decision for you. And we'll always give you our opinion. So now we're at a point where you make the decision, I love this location, the terms of the lease, the rent, the free rent, all the other things we've negotiated for you, you're happy with, so you execute the lease. So now we move your store over into, your store project, over into our operations department, and there we get to work interfacing with the landlord, scheduling your store, making sure that any work that the landlord has to do is done in a timely fashion so you can open as quickly as possible. You're also working with me at that point. I'm actually doing the store design for you, putting together the fixture plan. We review that, you approve it. At this point, you will have also reviewed and signed the purchase agreement, which is the agreement between our company and you to actually develop your store. Nothing goes hard until you signed your lease. At that point, we also initiate your training because we want to have you fully trained and do so as close as possible to when your store is going to be ready to open. When the landlord tells us and you that the store space is now ready, we schedule a build-out supervisor to go out to your store. We hire local labor, and they're there to help set up the store or to set up the store. We typically start on a Monday morning. The fixtures arrive at about 7 a.m. Our crew is there to unload them and start setting them up. Monday afternoon, the merchandise starts arriving, and our crew again is receiving the merchandise and stocking it as it comes in the door. And this goes on throughout the week. It typically takes us 1 week to set up a store, and barring anything unforeseen, by Friday night or Saturday morning, you are ready to open your store. It's that fast. We do over 100 stores a year, so our crews, our build-out supervisors are very, very adept at getting their labor moving in the right direction very quickly. And again, during this time also, we've done your training, and your store is ready to open. We assign at that point, our trainer is going to stay in regular contact with you. This is the long-term support that I spoke of earlier. The trainer is going to stay in contact with you via the phone virtually every day for the first 90 to 120 days that you're open. She'll be helping you write replacement orders as you sell out a product, helping you get ready for every season and holiday. We schedule that well in advance. We make sure your orders are placed for Halloween and Christmas and so on. So she'll help you do that, determine on a calendar when that merchandise should be ordered, when it should arrive in your store, when it should go out on display, when your seasonal signs should go up, because you want to pre-sell that each and every season. You want to let people know that if you're going to be looking for Christmas product in a month or so, this is where you want to come. We're going to have it. So those are all things that we do in that first period, that first 90 to 120 days. And of course, any operational questions that come up, your trainer's available to answer them as well. If it's something that she doesn't have direct knowledge of, I'm always available to you as well. And at the same time, I want to circle back to talk about the merchandise network for just a minute, because it is very important. It's probably one of the most important components of our store packages. We have over 80 suppliers on our merchandise network to address virtually every type of product. Some of them are what we call general merchandise suppliers that supply products in many different categories. Others are more specialty suppliers that are best suited to provide one or two categories, like costume jewelry or greeting cards or sunglasses, whatever those things might be. And they're all the best at their particular product in terms of value, in terms of quality, in terms of price. Most of these suppliers I've worked with for over 30 years, so I have a great respect for them, and they value the business that our stores bring to them. They're always going to make sure you get the right price. In any merchandise program, and certainly in ours, there are three key components, and they are value, variety, and new merchandise. You have to have all of them to be successful. How do we provide value? Well, we provide value because we travel to each supplier at least once a month and hand select all the newest items that they have. We evaluate them in terms of not only the item itself, but the packaging and so forth. And then I negotiate the prices on those items. If I don't get to what I feel is an acceptable price for our stores, you will never see that item from us. If we can get to that, and I like the price and I like the product, those are items that we're going to present to you for your consideration for ordering for your store. It's very important. You can't evaluate merchandise looking at a catalog or looking at pictures online, because you really have to touch and feel it. You have to see if the item does what it's supposed to do. Is the packaging right? Is it presented well so it looks like a value item? So we spend a lot of time doing that traveling to make sure that everything is right with the product that we're going to present to you for your consideration. The next component of a merchandise system is variety. Variety in your store is extremely important, having lots of different products for people to choose from. And how do we create that? Well, as I mentioned, we have over 80 suppliers scattered around the country. A few are general merchandise suppliers. Most are specialty or niche suppliers. And because of our merchandise network and because of the fact that most of our suppliers offer freight concessions or very low freight terms, you can buy product to put in your store that other independent stores around you can simply not have, because they can't afford to bring the products from that far away. They may not even know of these suppliers, quite honestly. So if you're in Chicago, for example, your competitors basically can only buy from suppliers in and around the greater Chicago area. Those are the people that they know. Those are the distances that they can afford to bring in product from. Whereas you can buy product not only from those suppliers, but from suppliers in Houston, from suppliers in California, from suppliers in New York and New Jersey. So you're going to have incredible variety that all your competitors are going to be envious of. They're not going to be able to have that product in your store. The other piece of that is that in our business, in the dollar store business, Most product is shipped in what's called master cartons, and in a master carton there may be 72 or 144 pieces of one item. It's a lot of an item, you know. So with our vendors, with our suppliers, because our stores do so much business with them, in most cases they will ship what's called an inner pack. So instead of having to buy 72 pieces of a pizza cutter and looking at that pizza cutter for 3 or 4 months until they sell through, you can buy a dozen or 2 dozen in one of those inner packs. That does 2 things for you. It makes sure that the product is always turning. You know, you get your 12 pizza cutters in, you sell 6 or 8, you place a reorder. Now you're churning through product. The other thing that it does is it enables you to buy many different items, more different items, with that same money that you would have spent buying the 72 pizzas of the pizza cutter. Now you can buy 6 or 10 other items, all packed 12 or 24, and have many more items in your store, many more types of items for the same investment in your inventory. So it's a critical advantage, and nobody else can do that for you. So we've talked about value, we've talked about variety, new merchandise. This is probably, with the exception of price, the most critical component of a merchandise program. When your customers come into your store, they know why they're coming in. They're coming in to buy the items that are on their shopping list. They're coming in to buy maybe paper towels, toilet tissue, maybe shampoo, maybe some vanilla wafers or something like that. So they're coming in to buy 5 or 6, 7 items, and they're on their shopping list. Now they walk into your store, they find those items, they fulfill their needs, then they start to look around. And maybe, and this happens to me all the time, I'm a serious dollar store shopper. But they may walk around, maybe they see a set of 4 placemats that sells for $1. They look nice, you know, they look great on the kitchen table. They buy them and put them in their cart, and off they go. And then they may see maybe one of those man-made chamois that you can use to clean your car on the weekend, and it's $1, great value. So pick that up, in your cart it goes. And maybe they pick up a couple of toys for their children. So now all of a sudden, that $6 or $7 sale that they intended on making in your store now is $10 or $12 or $15, because now they're buying items that they didn't know they needed, but the value, the perceived value, when they look at those items, you know, they have that wow factor. Wow, this is only $1? This is only $1? So those items are going to go in their cart because they're buying items that they didn't know they needed, but the value is such that they made that buying decision. Now, when that customer comes back in a week or so, they probably need their paper products again. They probably need their shampoo or related items. They don't need the placemats. They didn't get used up. They don't need the chamois. They still have it. And the children still have their toys. But if you show them something new in home decor or in auto care or in the toy department or any other categories, now they're a customer again. And that is why the new goods, having a constant flow of new goods into your store is so critical, because it builds your average sale, it builds your profits, and it keeps your customers coming back, because they're always going to want paper towels, they're always going to need toilet tissue, but you want them coming back because they don't know what they're going to find, but they know it's going to be an incredible value. That's how you build customer loyalty, that's how you build your average transaction, and that's how you grow your profits. So value, variety, new merchandise, all critical. All critical. And as I say, for the first 90 to 120 days, our trainer is going to be in your ear daily, helping you review those new items. We send emails out to you on new products and new supplier information virtually every week. So you're always going to be seeing hundreds of new items to choose from. Our trainer and later on our merchandise coordinator will be working with you to help you evaluate those items. We're going to be, if you give us access, we're going to track your sales by category. So we'll see where your sales are coming from. You know, are you an incredibly good health and beauty aid store, or are you very strong in hardware, whatever those things might be, and we're going to help you maximize the sales in each of those categories by growing the sales with you through adding additional products. After that first 90 to 120 days, if you feel and we feel that you have your arms around the store, everything's going as it should, then we move your store to a long-term coordinator's desk, and that person continues to provide that same support. Slightly less intense basis. She'll call you several times a week, but she's always available to you anytime for any assistance that you might need. And we do that for as long as your store is in business. You get that daily or weekly follow-up. You get that new goods information on a very regular basis. And that is our program. As I meant to say at the outset, and I did not, you can start all of this with an application and a $500 deposit, which is fully refundable for any reason or for no reason at all. If you don't like the financing options that are available to you, ask for a refund, it goes right back to you. If we can't find a good location, one that you approve, we stop and your deposit goes back to you. If you, at any point in the process, decide, this isn't just for me, I think I'm going to open up a yogurt store. Whatever those things might be, that's fine. Your deposit goes right back to you, all up until the point when you're signing your lease, and at that point, that deposit becomes part of the purchase price of your store. So you never lose it. You either get it in a refund or you get it as part of the purchase price of your store when you're ready to go forward. And one last reminder before we leave the store program, there was an incentive for you attending the teleseminar tonight. If you do decide to go forward, when you open your store, you'll get $2,000 in free merchandise just because you took the time to call in tonight and listen to me. So I appreciate that. Now what I'd like to do is take about 5 minutes and just talk briefly about what's going on in our industry. The last year or two, this industry has always been very exciting, and I don't want to understate that. As I said, I've been at this for years. I love the buying and selling of merchandise. I love seeing customers excited when they come into a store. I love them seeing an item that I found, that I negotiated the price on, and built a great display in my store, and then the customers fall in love with it. Nothing better than that. It's just a merchandise high, I guess you might want to call it. But dollar stores have been growing, and their popularity has been growing right along with it for at least the last 20 years, and certainly more than that. In the last couple of years, though, things have happened that have made the dollar stores even more stronger than ever before. Back in 2008, when the economy kind of cratered, and I know we all remember that, many more people shopped dollar stores for the first time out of necessity. In fact, there was a survey done back then that said over 70% of the people polled shopped at dollar store at least twice a month. Pretty significant. And that was 12, 13 years ago. And those customers never left because what they found was they could buy a lot of the products that they use on a regular basis and that they need, that they were paying X amount of dollars for in the grocery store, much less expensively in a dollar store. And so they stayed as customers. Great thing. In the last year or so during the pandemic, a lot of things came into play that further grew the popularity and the necessity of shopping in a dollar store. When a lot of the traditional retailers, and I know we've all experienced this last year, couldn't keep paper products in the store, didn't have the masks and the sanitizer and the health items, the cleaners and so forth that people needed and wanted, dollar stores had them. Not only did they have them, but they had them at much lower prices than people are accustomed to paying in the grocery store. So they found, people that hadn't found dollar stores did, and then they stayed. The pandemic is hopefully largely behind us, but those customers are still here. Again, for the same reasons. They found value, they found convenience, and so they shop their dollar stores on a more regular basis than ever before. There was a survey that was done about 3-4 months ago, and it was of grocery store shoppers. And they asked, among a lot of other questions, they asked, what is the most important thing when you shop? And the overwhelming response was price and convenience. They wanted to be able to get in their store, they wanted to get out. They wanted to have a good feeling about the value that they were getting. They were paying a fair price. And the second question that intrigued me was they said, do you believe that over the last year you have been price gouged by your grocery store? And over 77% said yes. They really felt that they were taken advantage of price-wise. Whether it was intentional or it was because of cost increases, hard to say. But that was the conception that they had of their experience of shopping at a grocery store. So what fuels people coming to the dollar stores more and more than ever before? Convenience. You know, the average shopping trip at a dollar store, I think, is about 20 minutes versus 45 minutes at a grocery store. People like to come in, do the shopping, and get out. And they don't want to walk a mile across a Walmart parking lot to get to their store. They want to be able to park out front, get in, do their shopping, save money, and get out. So convenience. And, of course, they're going to find value because the dollar stores are going to be the lowest priced retailer on virtually every item that they carry. Survey done a couple of years ago showed that of items that are carried in a dollar store And in Walmart and in Target, I think was the other business that they surveyed, over 70% of the items that were common to all three retailers, dollar stores were the lowest priced on over 70% of those items. Pretty significant, and people see that. So convenience, price drove more and more people to the dollar stores, and they stayed. And during the pandemic, fortunately, our stores were deemed essential. They did not have to close like unfortunately many other retailers did. So we continued to grow our business. We continued to grow our customer base. And again, those people have stayed with the dollar store industry for the most part. Dollar General, for the second quarter of last year, which was at the height of the pandemic, they had the largest sales increase in the history of their company, over 22%. And dollar stores across the board experienced those same types of increases. It was just a phenomenal year. So those are things that happen, and those are things that are fueling the growth in dollar stores. CNN had a report about 3 weeks ago, and they said for the year 2021, or the year we're in, there will be more dollar stores developed than all other types of retail stores combined, and they couldn't even come up with a number for 2022 because the demand for these stores is so incredibly high. So it just bodes well. And because unfortunately a lot of businesses did have to close during the pandemic, there are many great locations available, and landlords want good quality tenants like dollar store owners because they know, should we ever experience anything like that again, the dollar stores can stay open and continue to pay rent. Any other retailers cannot. So kind of a perfect storm. And of course, right now, if you're thinking about getting into this business, there's still a great opportunity to get your store open to take advantage of the fall and Christmas holidays. But, the sooner you start, the better advantages you'll be able to take advantage of. We can get your store open in 30 to 45 days if everything kind of aligns as often it does. And that'll put you in a great position. There's never a bad time to open a dollar store. As I've said, it's an incredible business, but if you have the opportunity to open for the last quarter, it's even a little bit more advantageous because people are out shopping, and many more people are going to see your store in the shortest period of time. So it enables you to get up off the ground that much more quickly. So that's kind of what's happening in our industry. I mentioned earlier, we developed different types of stores. The most exciting thing we have going on right now, of all the exciting things we have going on, is our $1, $2, $3 store, and it's a great concept. It kind of grew out of the dollar-only store, which is so powerful because it has that wow factor where somebody walks into your store and says, "Gee, everything here is $1," and they don't agonize over it. Gee, should this be 88 cents or everything's $1. It's simple buying decisions are made. And that wow factor is very powerful. In the 1, 2, 3 store, you have that same dynamic going on. About half the store, 60% of the store is going to be $1 items, all the best of the $1 items. So you're going to have that power. And then the balance of the store consists of items that sell for $2 and $3. So when your customer sees your store, they know exactly what you're about. They know it's not one of these dollar stores where they say, "Oh, we're a dollar store," and you walk in and everything's $2.99 and $3.99, and they feel like they're being taken advantage of. Very, very specific: $1, $2, $3, great values in every price category. And the great thing about the 1, 2, 3 is that it's basically competition-proof. There's nothing like it in virtually any market that you might be in. You may have some Family Dollars, which are multi-price stores, some Dollar Generals, which are the same. Dollar Tree is a dollar-only store, and they're struggling to hold that price point, I know, because they have a lot of layers of management expenses that an independent does not have. But most importantly, the 1, 2, 3 store is like nothing else. It really sets you apart and gives you a great competitive advantage. So with that all being said, as I mentioned earlier, when you're ready to go forward, if you decide to do so, you can do an application and a deposit with your sales representative. You'll know within 48 to 72 hours what your financing potential is, what the terms are, how much you can qualify for, and you may make the decision to go forward, and you may decide to wait. So with all that being said, what I'd like to do, and I hate that phrase, by the way, but I use it all the time, and I apologize. With that said, what I'd like to do now is kind of open it up to questions. And please feel free to unmute your phone if you have a question. I know that there will be some talk over as a number of us try to get our questions out, so I would ask just everybody to be courteous to everyone else. And when you're done with your question, you've gotten it answered, please mute your phone again to keep the background noise to a minimum. And when you ask your question again, just please identify yourself with your first name and where you're from, if you would. Um, and let's open the gates. I'm ready for questions.
Yes, hi,
Hello?
good evening.
Yes.
My name is Murad. I think we met David in before.
Yes.
And thank you for your time. Yeah, I held my plan for family reasons. I have very quick 3 questions.
Go ahead.
The first question, generally, the gross and the profit margin, how much more or less, as I said, generally, that's number 1. That's
Okay.
the first question. The second question, for the mid-size dollar store I want to build or I want to have with you guys, how many workers I need to hire? And the third question I'm coming to, you mentioned that you guys will help us with getting us the products with a 20% or 25% less than other vendors. So these are 3, if you don't mind, if you can give me a quick explanation for it, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, very good. Thank you, Murad. First, with regards to profit margins in a 1, 2, 3 type store, the gross margin on product is going to be 50%. Can be more, and that depends on the competition in your area, because now you have some flexibility in your retail pricing, unlike with the dollar store, everything has to sell for $1. So a minimum of 50%, typically a little bit better than that. With regards to the number of employees, we'll take a mid-sized store, say 3,000 square feet. A 3,000 square foot store is going to require about 135 work hours. And that typically is staffed by 1, maybe 2 full-timers and the balance part-timers. And it depends on how much time you as the owner want to devote to the store operations as well. So say, for example, you're going to be a hands-on owner and you're going to be in the store every day. So you'll work 40 or 45 hours. So you take that from the 135, you need about 90 paid hours, and they can all be pretty much part-time. And I always recommend part-time hours for a couple of reasons. One, it gives you a lot more flexibility. Somebody calls in sick, you can have another employee stay without paying overtime, or if you have to call somebody in, typically it's somebody who works 25 or 30 hours a week. So again, you can have them work that extra shift, and you do not have to pay them overtime. But as an average, as I say, about 135 work hours per week, however you carve that up between yourself and your staff, that's the number that you would need. Now, that's just a guideline. As the stores get busier, you may want to layer on some hours, but that 135 will adequately staff that 3,000 square foot store. Then the third question had to do with merchandise. And I believe your question was centered around the discounts that are available on product. Is that correct?
That is correct. I think
Okay.
you said you can sell it to us like a 20% less than what the dollar store or general store doing. This is what I understood. I'm not sure if it is correct.
Yeah. Actually, the better way for me to say it is that we create a relationship with you directly with the suppliers that we have in our network. So once you're open, we write the initial orders for the store, and you approve them, and then we place them. But then moving forward, once your store is open and operating, you're going to be buying directly from the suppliers. We don't act as a middleman. We don't take a commission or anything like that. But we do help you interface with the suppliers as you need us to. And because our stores do so much business with these suppliers, they give you basically pricing because we negotiate hard with them. You get the same level of pricing that a chain of stores would get as opposed to being one store walking in their front door. And that's how we're able to get those discounts on the product for you. It's very, very significant. Does that kind of answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Good, good.
I
Thank
still
you
have
for
questions, but I want to leave this for the rest of the team. Sorry.
Thank you, and you can call me anytime. You know that. Yes, go ahead.
So different vendor how many vendors in the supply the items? Like you said in the 45 different vendors, yes?
Yes, we have about 80 to 85 different suppliers, depending on the store
Okay,
size.
how many types of varieties? How many? I have the 5,000 SFT, 3,500 SFT space. So how many varieties is available in the store?
Okay, so in a space of about 3,500 square feet, you would probably
Yes.
use about 15 different suppliers.
50. How many varieties? Like in the number of varieties?
Oh, in the different types of merchandise?
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to give you that number because we custom write each set of orders for every new store. So there's a lot of things that go into that.
Like
But I would say-
approximately, we have the 5,000 varieties in the store. Sorry. 1 second. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. We have the 5,000 varieties in the store. So 15 different vendors, okay?
Yeah.
So I need only the 10 products in the 10 vendors. How can the vendor supply?
Well, you wouldn't buy just 10
In
products.
in the dollar store, everything they is come to with their warehouse, and they will supply to in the stores. So this is the different vendors. How can they will do the delivery?
We have two different types of suppliers. We have general merchandise suppliers that have a lot of different categories that they provide, maybe 20, 30 different categories or more. So it's very easy to put an order together, a minimum order, $1,500 or $2,000 would be one pallet of merchandise, and it's very easy to do that with that many different categories to choose from. Now, we also have specialty type suppliers that, for instance, only provide costume jewelry or only provide small electronics or greeting cards, things like that. Those suppliers can ship very small orders via UPS, and that's how that process works. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Yeah, this is Marvin from Sugarland. Sir, what you have mentioned that the $1, $2, $3 stores has a different price strategy of the $3. And the $3 now they are going to increase their prices. However, our prices will vary from $1 to $3. Who will be my competitor in the market?
It's a very good question, and the answer is almost nobody. Your store is going to be very unique. You're going to have, if you take the Dollar Trees of the world, they're going to have some product that sells for $1.25 and $1.50, but with your ability to go to $3 at retail and maybe even a little bit higher, you're going to have categories of product that they don't have, and you're going to have the best $1 only product. Let me just expand on that for just a second. Then if you take, if you have a Family Dollar or a Dollar General close to you, if you've been in those stores, they have very, very little product that actually sells for $1. Virtually nothing. And a lot of the products that they have that sell for that you sell for $1, excuse me, they sell for $1.25, $1.30. And if you even just visit a Dollar Tree and pick up 5 of their dollar-only items and go over to Dollar General, you're going to find that they sell for more. So the dollar-only product isn't their business. So you're in a good competitive situation with regards to Family Dollar and Dollar General, and a very good competitive situation with regards to Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yes.
Just 1 minute, please. Just let me finish. Sir, I do have another 2 questions. The first one, according to your analysis among the 4,000 stores, what would be the average sales per transaction or per basket, let's say?
Okay. It ranges from about $12 to $15 industry-wide.
And what would be the turnover annually for a 3,000 stores in a moderate location? I'm not talking for a very prime location. I'm talking in a moderate location for a 3,000 square feet store. What would be my annual turnover?
Okay, that's a little bit tougher question, but it's going to be somewhere between 8 to 10 turns a year.
8 to?
Yeah, 8 to 10 turns per year
What
on your inventory.
What you mean? Yeah, how much in dollars, let's say, as an amount?
Okay, let's say you've got a 3,000 square foot store, and it's very hard to get into particular just because it's going to vary a little bit by area, obviously. But let's assume that we look for a store space that typically is going to generate about $200 a square foot annually. So that's $600,000 in sales a year divided by 12 is $50,000 a month in sales. So that's approximately what? It's like 8 to 10 turns on your inventory annually.
So you're talking
So the $50,000 a month, it is the gross sales.
In this
take of the expenses yet.
That is correct.
So you're talking about almost 600,000 per year.
That's correct.
43,000 square feet.
That's correct in this example.
Okay, and what would be the cost that I have to pay for you to establish the store?
For a 3,000 square foot dollar plus or 1, 2, 3 type store,
Yeah.
you would be looking at, let me give you the right number here, $151,900.
And I will get the key and open the store.
That's correct.
And what I have to pay then, my OPEX, my operation cost, no?
Well, it's an impossible question for me to answer. Number one, I don't know what your rent is. I don't know.
No, this on me, I mean.
I'm sorry?
I mean, the operation cost is on me. I mean the 150 that I have to pay for you, then the other operation expenses is on me.
That is correct.
Okay, I do understand. And the last question, are you making stores overseas or only in USA?
We do them in many other countries as well.
Okay, but thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. I appreciate it very much.
I have one more
Thank you.
question.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Do you have any stores nearby? I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
I can check. I don't have the list with me this evening. But if you want to give me a call tomorrow, I can check on that for you.
I'll do that.
Yeah. You just call your representative or call me at the office either way, and we'll get that answer for you. What was your name, sir?
Shiva.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Next question.
Okay, I will take another question. So I want to ask you, in Houston or in Texas, do you have any $1, $2, $3 stores just to have a look at it?
Yeah. Again, same answer. I don't have the store list in front of me. But if you call your representative here in the office or call me, I can check that and get an address for you. Happy to do it.
Can you provide me your number again?
Yeah. It's in fact, if anybody wants to jot it down, I'll give you a minute. It's 702-637. 702-637-3389.
3389. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You have a good evening.
Okay, thank you.
Next question.
Hi, this is Beltrine.
Yes, good evening. Welcome.
I would like to know what is the basic interest rate that we pay on the loans?
Okay, good question, and I don't have a good answer. And
I know you cannot give me an exact.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
You could say between 2 to 5.
Beltrine, it varies so much, and I can tell you, depending on the type of loan and your credit profile, any answer that I give you is wrong, and that's why we have you come in with your application deposit, and we'll have that answer for you specifically for you within 48 hours. And if you decide to go forward, that's great. If not, we refund your deposit and we part as friends.
Okay, that was going to be my question.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, it's a good question. I should have touched on it earlier. So that deposit, if you do decide to go forward, that deposit is never at risk, because if you decide you don't want to go forward, just ask for your deposit back. We send it to you, no questions asked. Or if you don't like the financing that's available, or you don't qualify, which sometimes does happen, deposit goes right back to you. And then if you do end up opening a store, that $500 is applied to the purchase price of your store, so you never lose it.
Okay.
Always your money.
I have a question too.
Yes, go ahead. What's your name, ma'am?
What is? Let me just finish this question.
Okay, go ahead.
What is the smallest square footage space that
store?
you would yes, would
Yeah,
recommend.
we started at 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
And that's in the 123 store. That costs $84,900.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
So
you
my
very much.
question was, when you started, you said like if anybody from this meeting like join, happen to open a store, gets like $2,000 towards your product. So how do you get that? Is it that you already have a list of people that already joined the meeting or something?
Now, anybody that attended this teleseminar, we have a list of your names because you signed up. So if you come back and say, okay, now I want to go for it, I want to do this, and then you open a store, you automatically, when we set up your store, we're going to include an extra $2,000 in free merchandise for you.
Okay, and then let's say I pay for the deposit from today and then start my process. So, and I decide to say, okay, I want to open my store in January instead of now. Is that an option, or they just work towards opening your store?
Say that first part of that question again. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's say I do my deposit today and did my application and went through the financing and everything. They approve everything. Is there an option to say, okay, I don't want to start my business in December until January this date, or do you just have to start?
No, absolutely. It's when you're ready. Yeah, no question at all, and it doesn't change anything. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always good to jump in when you can, but the timing is entirely up to you.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, good. Good question. Thank you.
I have three quick questions. Should be very, very quick. The first one, what is your involvement in having it like a cooler for drinks? Because I saw in the $1 you guys provide the cooler for drinks, but in the 1 Plus or 123 you don't. That's the first question. The second question I want to ask about, is there any other ancillary services I can add to the store and with guidance from you, for example, key maker, for example, a printer, for example, mailbox, and whatever. If I want to add these, this is the second question. Actually, the third question: how is your coaching after I open? Like, if I do like to ask you, like, do you guys recommend me about any new items coming? Because I will be busy in my other things also, but you may have from your experience that there are always a new items coming, either from the skincare or from the food or whatever the daily disposable stuff. Do you guys keep coaching us, or we need to get back to you if we have any questions?
No. And the answer is yes and no. So let me answer them in order, and all good questions, and I appreciate that. The 123 stores, you said, does not come with coolers, but we can help you source them. And often what a lot of our store owners will do when they decide to add that type of product, there is a wealth of used equipment out there in the second-tier markets. We can help you find those coolers, and usually they're very inexpensive. There's a lot of equipment out there right now that is looking for homes, so to speak. So, yeah, absolutely, we can help you with that. And keep in mind, too, that if you decide to merchandise Coke or Pepsi in your store, those companies will provide you with coolers at no charge as long as you buy their product from them. So you have that option as well. So on to your second question in terms of additional services, and I want to actually thank you for that because I was going to get to that in a minute and I kind of lost sight of it. Yes, there are all types of services that you can add to your store once you're open. You touched on a few of them. Mailbox rentals. We have a division in our company that opens mail and print and packaging stores. So we have all the resources for that. And actually, mailbox rentals is a very nice add-on. It's not too expensive to put in place. You get revenue from the mailbox rentals, but as importantly, now you have people that are coming into your store 2, 3, 4 times a week to check their mail. So you always have the opportunity to sell merchandise to them. Key duplication is a great program. I mean, the rack takes up about 2 square feet on your counter.
The key blanks cost about 50 or 55 cents. They sell for anywhere from $1 to $3. And if you've had the opportunity to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get a key made, they're what, $4.50, $5 for that same key that costs you 50 cents. It's a great, great add-on. Very easy to operate. Investments not very high. And there are other things too. You know, we have a print program that we developed some years ago that will allow your customers to come into your store and print banners while they wait. Actually, they print the banner. They design it. There's a kiosk. They go right into the computer screen. It's all self-help. They pick the banner material they want. They select the typeface that they want. They can add a photo. It's an incredible program. And they can print out that banner while they're standing there. And your profit is like 5 times cost. It's amazing. You can also do custom gift wrap, things like that. There's so many things you can do. A lot of our stores, once they're open, apply, and we can help you with this, apply to participate in the EBT program, which is the food stamps. And there's only a few extra types of merchandise that you have to add to your store to qualify for that. And then your customers, if they have a food stamp card, they can use that to shop virtually everything in your store, which is a great, great advantage for you as a store owner. Other stores add other things like notary services, bill pay. We've had stores add tobacco and beer and wine, and we can help you with that. So, yeah, to answer your question, there's no end to the types of services that you can offer in your store. And then,
so in this case, I may, before you go to the coaching,
yeah, go ahead.
We may look for larger than, like if I'm looking for 1,500 square foot, it is maybe better to look for 2,000 and buy the 1,500 package from you, just in case if the 500 I need it for the cooler, I need it for other services, I need to put it for my office, I mean, other things, right?
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And we kind of strategize with you when you're ready to go into real estate. You and I will be talking, and we'll determine what you see as a vision for your store, what services do you want to add, and so forth. And then we'll determine together what size space we should be looking for based on that. And of course, as we start to make proposals to landlords and negotiate leases, we have to make sure that those uses are spelled out in the lease for you to make sure that you can have mail services or beer and wine, whatever those things are. We want to make sure that A, you can have them, and B, nobody else in your shopping center can have them. We want to protect you in that regard. So it's very important that we get that in the lease. And there was a third question. I apologize. I don't recall what it was right now.
It was about coaching, like how you guys will stay with us, especially for new products. I'm not aware about like is there any like continuous routine calls to you guys, or you guys have a coach to help. And you know, Murad, there's new items coming. They are very, very inexpensive, but it is getting sold very, very quick. We recommend you to get this, something like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the way that, I kind of touched on it briefly, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. Yes, for the first 90 days that you're open, our new store coordinator is going to be on the phone with you virtually every day. Touching base with you, checking to see how things are going, helping you write reorders. And you're going to receive from our office now and for the life of your business information on new products each and every week that are available. Because as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were on the call then, but the new merchandise that you add to your store is so critical in terms of growing your sales. So for the first 90 days, that person's reaching out to you virtually every day. After that first 90 or 120 days thereabouts, if we feel and you feel that your store is trending well, you've got your arms around the business, we move your store to a long-term coordinator's desk, and that person continues to provide that support on a less intense basis. She may reach out to you once or twice a week, but she's always available to you, and you continue to get that product information week in and week out from our office and from the suppliers via email for the life of your business. We never go away. And the other big advantage to that merchandise coordinator, that new store coordinator and the long-term coordinator is, I'll give you one quick example. If you were to be sitting there at holiday time in the fall, and maybe you come into your store the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend, which is a very big retail weekend, and you start to look around and you're out of Christmas gift bags, and you're out of red and green tissue paper, and you're out of wreaths for the people's front doors, and you're out of 24-count crayons, which are great stocking stuffers, and on and on and on. Instead of sitting down at your desk and trying to figure out which of the 80 suppliers you should go to get those items, you call your rep here in our office, and they're going to have a hot sheet for each supplier as to what items they're in stock on. And they'll talk to you. You'll say, I need these 8 items. They're going to look at their hot sheets quickly, and they're going to say, Supplier B has everything you need, so let's get an order put together right now. And that's critically important, as I say, especially in the last 4 months of the year, because once you hit Halloween, last 3 months of the year, every day the sales start to accelerate because the business accelerates, and every day is like 3 days any other time of the year in terms of volume. So you can't miss a day not having an item. It's so critical to stay on top of the merchandise and be able to get it quickly. And that's where those coordinators are invaluable to you, to make sure that you can get that merchandise as quickly as possible. So yes, we never go away, to answer your question.
Okay, and then for the training, I know you mentioned that you guys will train us and all that. So do you guys fly over the trainers? Is it like Zoom training, or do we come to Vegas for trainings, or what?
Right now we do it, we've always done it for years. We did a combination or an option of classroom training or online and phone training. Because a lot of people are still hesitant to travel, and during COVID, we enhanced our online training, and that's what we're doing right now. We may go back to live training at some point, but the online training has a couple of big advantages. One, you can do it on your timetable. There's no expense to traveling here, and you always have access to it, which is a big, big advantage. So maybe 3 or 4 months from now, you may want to go back and look at some things to do with human resources or whatever those topics might be. You have all those internet modules available to you.
Okay, good.
Question.
Good. Yes, go ahead. Very good question, sir, by the way. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. In regard to the coordinators, is there a cost for the coordination and all of that?
No, no. All that support that we've talked about is all part of your store package. You never pay us again. You pay us one time when we actually set up your store for whatever size store you've selected, and that's it. That's it. But you do get all that.
So no franchise royalty fee.
Hold on. Let him finish.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
No, nothing like that. You can send me some banana bread at Christmas time. That would be great. But no fees, no royalties ever. It's you get all the advantages of a franchise, but you don't have to pay for it. It's a great program.
It's a one-time fee.
Correct.
Okay. Is the fee paid upfront from the loan, or how is it calculated, and how is it paid?
Okay, good question. The store package price is paid out of the loan before we open your store. Because once you signed your lease, now we're ordering the merchandise, we're ordering the equipment, the fixtures, and so on, and they're being shipped directly to your store site. So yeah, the package price is paid to us out of the loan, and typically your loan is going to cover more than that because you have some working capital that you're going to need, for rent deposits and things like that. So your loan typically is going to cover more than the package price, but all those monies go to you. They don't go to us. Only the package price would come to us.
Okay. Okay.
Very good. Good questions. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Just one question regarding the rent. What would be the average rent per month for a 3,000 square feet?
What's the average height of a 50-year-old man? I'm just being facetious. The rent varies quite a bit by area. Where are you? Where are you located?
Talking in Houston.
Okay, Houston is a pretty decent market. I've seen rents as low as $17, $18 a square foot, and then higher depending on areas. Here's what we look for. And every area has a pretty good range of rents, from very low to very high. And becomes a decision as to what does that rent buy you in terms of the ability to do business. And you know, it's a conversation that I always have. You know, $12 a foot may be too high. $20 a foot may be too low because it may be such a powerful center that that's an incredible bargain, and you can do a lot of business there. What I always do, and this is part of our process, and it's really important for you, is when you're in site location and leasing, and you get to the final set of numbers and terms for a specific location. You know, we know what the rent is. We know how much free rent the landlord's going to grant to you. We know everything we know about there is to know about the location, the demographics, who the competitors are, where they are, population, the household income, all of those different factors. I can kind of sit down and do a worksheet with you. Yeah, exactly. With that, because now we have real numbers. We know the rent, we know the population, we know everything. So I always do that before you put pen to paper and sign your lease, because obviously that's the big question you have to answer yourself. You know, can I be profitable here? Can I do good business? Otherwise, there's no reason to go forward. So we always evaluate that. And there's a lot of locations, I will tell you, in our initial research that you'll never see, because we know the landlord is way out of line with the asking rents, or the competitors are too close, whatever. So we may research 50 locations. You may see 10 of them.
And basically the landlord will provide the location fully fitted out, like with full MAP services?
That's always part of the negotiation. And everyone is different. You know, we may be able to get a landlord that will provide a space that's 100% move-in ready. Ceilings in, floors are in, walls are painted, everything else. We may, on the next location, the landlord may say, you know, I don't want to do new flooring in here, but I'll give your client an allowance of $10 a foot if he wants to do his own tile or carpet or whatever. And then you would present him with the receipts, and he would pay you back. So there's a lot of different ways to go at that. Exactly. And everyone's a little bit different. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, next question.
Sir, I have a question. I have a question. My name is Kamal. I live in North Carolina.
Okay,
so my
good.
question is, yes, yeah. So my question is, so the package price that you said it's paid, does it include the initial merchandising, like when you get the okay, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
So
it's all the inventory. It's a full store.
Okay, so it includes everything, like you said, the light fixture, the cashier, the registers, the painting, the shelving, the products on the shelf stocked. So does it include also the coolers and the freezers?
Does not include coolers or freezers, and painting painting is provided by the landlord or by you, and that's part of the negotiation. Lighting is in the space. Most often we can get the landlord to do all that, or as I mentioned a minute ago, we can get the landlord to give you an allowance so that you can do it. He'll pay you to do it, basically.
Okay, but as you said, the coolers, the freezers are our responsibility.
Yeah, that is correct. But we can help you source them. Yeah, we can help you source them, and there's a lot of good new and used equipment out there for sure.
Okay, and the loan, like as soon as we get approved for the loan, does it matter what size of the store, depending on the loan that you're gonna get from the bank? Like, let's say you choose. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish your question.
Okay. Yeah. Like, let's say I picked a mid-size store. For example, 3,000 square feet store. So the bank account, the bank loan, will it vary depending on the size of the store? And if it does, will the package include the package price will be different by the size of the store?
Yes, the package price is going to vary by store size, because obviously there's more in a larger store package than a smaller one. There's more inventory, there's more fixtures, and so on. Usually the way it actually works out is when you make an application for a loan, once we know what you qualify for, then we know what size store you can develop. It's actually the reverse of. Does that make sense? You know,
yes. So you would know. You would know after you get the application.
That's
you run
correct.
the application and you do the credit check and you know your credit score. Then you will know how much money you're allowed to on your loan.
That is absolutely correct. And then we determine together what size store you need. Because say for example you qualify for a loan of I'll just pick a number, $200,000. And with that loan, we know maybe your store package is $125,000. But we know you need some other funds as well. You need some funds for rent deposits and a security deposit and business licenses and things of that nature. So you're going to need more money than the package price. So we work that out with you before we ever have you go over to real estate. In fact, what we do is we do a complete worksheet. Once we know the level of funding that you've achieved, we'll show you the largest store that you can develop based on that funding and factoring in some of those other expenses that you may encounter. We want to make sure that you have funds available for those as well. So we may come back and say, it looks like you can do a 4,000 square foot store. You have enough funds for the package plus all the other expenses that you may encounter. You may say, well, you know, I want to have a little bit more of a cushion. I'll start with 3,000 square feet. And that's fine. That's whatever you determine you want to do.
Okay, and in this example, you just give that I'm sorry, I did not finish. Let me just just expand on this example you gave me. So the $200,000 loan, if you get approved, you said there is $125,000 that goes into the package price. And let's say, how much should they provide? How much cash should they provide to get qualified for that $200,000 loan?
Well, it depends on the lender. You may not have to show any cash of your own, and maybe, you know, depending on your credit profile, so you may not have to bring any of your own funds to the table. And what happens a lot of times is somebody will come to us and they'll do their loan application and maybe they qualify based on what the lender can give them for let's say for example, just a 2,000 square foot store, which is great. But they may look at that and say, you know, I'd like to go a little bit bigger. You know, how much do I need to put in of my own funds to get to 2,500 or 3,000? So we have that conversation. If they decide that's the route they want to take, then that's what, you know, we give them that number and that's what they do. But often the lenders can provide very close or beyond 100% funding for certain size stores plus working capital. So, and I see that happen especially for smaller store sizes very often. You know, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 square feet. I see very often where somebody qualifies for 100% financing plus some working capital with no cash of their own on the table, so to speak.
Okay, so I have one more question.
Thank you so much.
So,
thank you, sir.
So let's say if you don't have any retail experience, does that really affect you when it comes to like acquiring a loan to start your business, like in financing?
No, it doesn't impact you in any way because by the time we're done with your training, you're going to know everything you would want to know about operating a retail store. Yeah, no, it doesn't affect you at all. Absolutely not.
Okay. Thank you.
One more question.
Yes, go ahead.
This is Valtrine again.
Yes, go ahead.
In regard to when we start out and the payroll for our staff, how does that go? Do we get some payroll training? What do we get, or do we get assistance in doing that?
Yes, it's all covered in training, number one. Number two, we do have there's a company that a lot of our stores use that will provide you information on as well that can actually do your payroll and provide the paychecks. They compute it all for you, which is a very inexpensive, and it's actually a pretty nice service to have because I know when I had my own stores years ago for the first year or two, I tried to do all that myself, and it seemed like I was spending more time with that than actually running my store. So I came across this company. Somebody recommended them to me, actually, and it was so easy. I'd send them the timesheets, fax them to them. This is before the Internet even. I'd fax them the timesheets, and 3 days later
Mm-hmm.
I'd have the paychecks. And
Okay.
they would also do my sales tax returns, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Do the W-2s at the end of the year. It was a great program. So
Okay. Mm-hmm.
thank you very much. Yes.
And what kind of costs would that incur?
You know, I don't have current costs in front of me, but as I said, it's very, very minimal. That I do know.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Can I come up also with other group of questions very
Sure.
quick? Murad
Sure, go
again,
ahead.
and I hope these questions benefiting the rest of the team. I hope so, because I attended this a couple months ago, so I am kind of very familiar, but I held it for my own reasons. The first question I want to ask Dave, and this is a question, I don't want you to be biased to dollar store service. Now you are representative of dollar store service, but just put yourself on our side.
Okay.
And if you want to pick between two stores of 1,500 square feet versus one store of 3,000, if you put yourself, not obviously, if you put yourself as a dollar store service, you will pick two stores because you get two packages. But on my side, which one you recommend? Two of 1,500 square feet or one of 3,000?
Okay, that's a very good question, and I'm not biased with regards to that at all. Assuming, without knowing the area that you're thinking of, I'm always going to say do one larger store, and there's a few reasons for that. The main reason is, and again, it depends on the market that you're in, because this may not be true in every market. But in a market where there's a lot of activity and a lot of competition, a little bit larger footprint makes you a little bit more impactful. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with a 1,500 or 1,000 square foot store. Every one of our store sizes works very well in the right environment, and we have to find that right location for you. But all things being equal, if that was my choice, I would do the 3,000.
Okay, second question. If you look at dollarstore.com and you search the cap rate of profit, you will see it between 10 to 12%. Now, if you want to make it as one item, if I'm selling one item for example, for $1 or for $2, or if you want to make it from the business financial terms, my cap rate will be 20-25%, because if it is 10 to 12%, to be honest, it is not really worth it to put all the time and the effort. Do you have an answer like average? I know it is very difficult, depends on the area, depends on a lot of other factors, but the cap rate range for your operators, how much they are selling you guys?
It's, we don't get a lot of that specific information, but anecdotally, I'd say it's running about 20% or so. Yeah, I agree with you. 10 or 12%, why bother? I'm not sure where that number comes from.
Yeah, if you look at Dollar Tree and Dollar General Dollar, that's what they put on Google. If I search what is the cap rate, how much money they make, how much their profit.
Oh, so you're looking at Dollar Tree or Dollar General? Yeah, you're talking about Dollar Tree or Dollar General?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a couple of reasons for that, and you're absolutely right. I look at Dollar Tree, for example, last year, I believe, their gross margin on product was about 32%, whereas our gross margin on product is 50% or a little bit better than that. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, they go very heavily into food, as I'm sure you know, and that's a zero-sum game for them. You make no money selling food. That's number one, and it really erodes. Over the last few years, maybe the last 5 years, their gross margin on product has eroded like 10%. Because they've invested more heavily in grocery, and it generates no profit for them. The other issue that they have when they fold in their expenses is, if you think about how they operate, they might buy merchandise from some domestic suppliers and a pretty good percentage from overseas. Our suppliers do the same thing, but when you buy from our suppliers, you're buying from them after they brought the product in, say from China, use them, or Israel, or wherever it might be. So it comes from the maker to the supplier, and the supplier to you. With Dollar Tree or any of the chains, the merchandise comes from the supplier to their distribution center. Then it goes from their distribution center to their store. So there's an extra layer of management. There's an extra layer of expense. There's a lot of costs attached to that intermediate step, which you don't have. You know, and I guess it works with their model, but it's a significant difference. And like I say, if you go back and look at their annual reports from 6 or 7 years ago and compare them to what their gross margins on product today, it's very enlightening.
Other question, and I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm gonna use the term may. I'm sorry again for that. Do you recommend to place the store in poor area or in rich area or middle class area, or doesn't matter? I mean, or I know your real estate team gonna work with us what the zip code we are searching in it, but do you have any general recommendations where to place the store, even if it's away from where I live?
Okay, good question. Here's the way I go at that. I know that the dollar store business, in terms of the customers, it cuts across pretty much all demographics now. There's almost no level of income that an individual might have where they won't shop in a dollar store sometime. I'd say household incomes of under $75,000 or so are stronger for two reasons. One, those individuals tend to shop dollar stores a little more regularly, but more importantly, if you have a store location and the household income within 3 miles, 50% of it, say it's under $75,000 a year in total household income, that means that community is probably more densely populated, and that's obviously the other number we look at. You know, if you're looking at Woodland Hills, California, in 3 miles you may have 90,000 people. And if you look at a little bit more of a blue-collar area, in that same 3 miles you may have 150 or 200,000 people. You have many more potential customers. So we look at a mix of all those things. We look at the household income. We look at the population specifically at 3 miles, because that's your key drawing area. And then we also look at, obviously, the competitive environment, who the co-tenants are in the center, what the vehicle traffic is like going by the center. All those things matter. Because even if you're in a relatively expensive area home-wise, but a lot of middle-class shoppers or upper-middle-class shoppers drive by your location, even though they don't live there, they're still your customers or potential customers. So we look at all those factors.
Okay, last question, and I'm sure everybody also waiting for this question.
Yeah.
Do you provide us with these 4,000 stores contact information, where they're located, their numbers, and do you provide us with names of people, of owners, so we can contact them? So in this case, we will be able to learn from their mistakes or learn from them generally. So can people already went through this business, so instead of inventing, they already invented, so why I bother with too much of headache?
Sure. No, we can always provide you with several owners to talk to. I usually like to have you speak to newer owners, primarily because they can speak more specifically what we're doing today, what the signage is like today, what the service is like today, not what we did 10 or 15 years ago. But yeah, no, absolutely we can do that. We do it very often. I'm not going to give you a list of 4,000 store owners to call because I don't want to intrude on them. But we have owners that are willing to take those phone calls. Keep in mind, they're not franchisees. They have a business to run as well. But I do have a number of owners that are willing to take those calls, and we can certainly arrange that for you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Good question. Yes, and next question?
I have a question regarding the location.
Yeah, just go ahead, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I'm calling from Florida.
Okay.
And I have a place in mind. So how does that work? so I can schedule with you when you do inspection to see if the contract meets your requirements, the location, the physical space. How does it work?
Yes, okay, good question. And that often happens. You know, sometimes somebody will come to us with a location that they like. So the first thing that happens is when you move into real estate, we research that location, along with every other location that fits the parameters that we're looking for. But yeah, absolutely, we work on that location first. We'll reach out, you know, we do our standard research, we do a competitive analysis, we contact the listing agent or the broker or whomever, get the rental rates, have you go in and assess the condition of the space. You know, we'll have you take some pictures so we know what we need to negotiate for. But yeah, absolutely, that happens all the time.
Okay, when you're applying for the loan, can you use your tax ID or you want to use your social?
Yes, usually Social Security number.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have another question.
Yes.
So, yeah, let's say I want to go with the 3,000 square feet store.
Okay.
And I applied for the application. I paid that $500. My credit score was good. They gave me the loan.
Okay.
The store was set up and everything. And how long will it take to get to sign the lease on the store?
Okay.
After we agreed on the location, and so then I will. This is another question, but it's like just some question from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So will it be like I have to pay the lease directly to the landlord, or will it be taken care of through the sale? It will be deducted from the sale.
Okay, good question. So the first part of that question is how long does it take to, I think, how long does it take to find a location and negotiate the lease? Is that kind of the question?
Yes.
Okay. Typically in real estate, it takes us about, and keep in mind, it's the one part of the process that I absolutely do not like to rush. I want to make sure we see everything there is available. I don't want to jump on the first location. Typically, a client is in real estate for about 30 to maybe 45 days before we get to a point where we have a lease ready for you to execute. Because it takes some time, you know, it takes a week or two to start to identify all the available locations, then make contact with the brokers, then do the research on the locations that look like they're going to work or can work. So I'd say about 30 to 45 days in real estate is a pretty good rule of thumb. Sometimes it's faster, but typically, you know, as I said, I don't like to rush it, so I'm going to say at least 30 days to get to a lease. Then the timing is kind of up to the landlord, actually not to the landlord, it's up to what condition is the space, what does the landlord have to do to get it ready for you, and how long is that going to take him to do. So at that point, you signed your lease, say the landlord has to go in, he's got to take down a couple of walls, he's got to put in flooring and paint. You know, we'll get a good estimate from him. He may say it's going to take me 20 days, or I have to get permits, so maybe it's going to take me 30 days. But meanwhile, we're doing all the other things we need to do. We're doing your training, we're getting your merchandise orders ready and reviewing them with you. So we're doing all the other, and you're doing the things you need to do to establish your business, you know, get your business license and get your sales tax ID number, things like that. So there's like an 80-item checklist that we go through in operations once your lease is signed. And it all, I hope you're okay. And it all has to do with the things you need to accomplish to establish your business. So that's kind of a rough timeline.
And on the same topic, I'm sorry, on the same topic, you know, you're answering now. So for the payroll, will it be done through that training? Like it will, the training has it touch base on the like what kind of program should we use for the payroll to pay the employees and all that?
It's all part of training. Absolutely.
And is it provided by you through the package, or is it an extra fee?
It depends on what the owners want to do. Some owners, it's not part of the package. The training part is, but not the actual program, because some people may choose to do it on their own. Some people may use one of these services that are out there, and we have one that's pretty cost-effective that we can recommend. There's a lot of different ways to go. Some people have their own account because they have other businesses, so the account just does that for them. There's a lot of options. Depends on what makes most sense for you.
Okay, I have another question. When you get the loan, does it inquire enough for you to do your payroll, or you have to have that on the side on your own?
When we do that worksheet, when we first move you over into real estate, we estimate a pretty good amount of working capital that you're going to have on hand, and that's all part of what the proceeds of the loan will cover. So you'll have enough money to handle your payroll for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then the store is starting to generate sales, and then the store's paying the payroll, and the store's rebuying merchandise and paying the rent and so on.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions?
Yes, question.
Yes.
Just crossed my mind. Is there like a grace period from the inception of the loan to when you have to start making payments?
Generally, there may be, but it's generally short. The one thing that I didn't touch on, and thanks for bringing this question up, is that when we negotiate your lease, we typically are going to negotiate for 2, 3, or 4 months of free rent. So for the first number of months you're open, you don't have to pay rent. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility in terms of handling those other expenses, like your loan payment, one good example, and rebuying merchandise. By building up kind of a war chest of more inventory, which is great because every item you buy doubles when you sell it. So it's a good option. And again, as I say, having that cushion of no rent for 2, 3, 4 months is a really nice advantage going into the new business.
Okay. I just want to know about if there's any grace period for the loan.
I have a question. I asked a lot of questions. Sorry.
Sir, hold on just a minute. I wasn't finished answering. Ma'am, so to finalize your question, there unfortunately there's no grace period. There may be a period of a few weeks, something like that. But that's kind of more in the lender's wheelhouse now.
Discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. The question I want to ask is, let's say we buy a package, a merchandise that has, like, let's say 30 items on a package. So the price that we will pay for that package, will it be by item or will it be by the whole package? And then we make our profit on each item.
I'm not sure I understand the question. You're talking about how the merchandise is. Yeah, go ahead and expand on that a little bit if you would.
Sure. So let's say you buy candy, for example, and the candy package has, let's say, 100 units. So will be charged for the whole 100 units, or will be charged for the package?
It depends on how the supplier puts their cost up, and usually it's both ways. They may say there's an item that costs 30 cents. So they'll typically show it as 30 cents per item or $3.60 a dozen. And if, say, it comes 2 dozen to an inner box, so they may say, okay, this candy bar costs you 30 cents, but the inner box is 24. So that the cost of that inner box of 24 bars is $7.20, but they cost 30 cents a piece. Does that make sense?
Okay, so the cost will be like okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so what I was going to say is, so on every dollar that you sell in your store, you have a third of profit.
If that item costs you 30 cents, yes. You would have 2/3 profit. But in most cases, the average cost of goods in a 1, 2, 3 store is going to be about 50% of retail. So if you have an item that sells for $1 and it costs you 50 cents, you make 50 cents when you sell that item. If you have an item that
Okay, I
sells
see.
for $1.50, it costs you 75 cents. You make 75 cents when you sell that item, gross profit.
Okay. Okay, but generally, if we're just speaking about dollar store, not $1, $2, $3 stores, typically it's like third of the dollar. So basically, so your profit sometimes would be between two of the third, like
actually,
two-thirds of the price.
Okay, the average cost of merchandise in a dollar-only store is going to be 54 to 55 cents. So gross margin, gross profit is going to be about 45 cents on that dollar sale.
I got you. So so let's say you made like 60. I'm just making this number from my head. So let's say you make $600,000 a year worth of sales. So you will be your profit will be about 40% of that.
Right, it'd be about $270,000 on that example, your gross profit.
Okay, but that's excluding the payroll, right? Or including the payroll?
That's just profit on merchandise.
That's without the expenses. That's without the expenses.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so excluding the the payroll, right?
Yeah,
I didn't hear. I'm sorry. Was someone speaking?
Yeah, it's excluding the payroll, excluding your rent, and the other expense items.
Okay, and the rent generally it's like 17 average $17 a square feet. So in a 3,000 square feet store, it will cost probably about 40 grand a month.
You know, I hate to get too deep into those numbers because the rents, number one, vary to a pretty broad degree. Yeah, it's any number you have in your head right now is probably not going to be accurate for your store. That's kind of what I can tell you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Our own store.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, ma'am.
When we work in our own store, do we pay our staff for those hours?
Yeah, you would pay them for the hours that they work.
No, I'm saying we work in our own store. Me getting a store myself, and I dedicate so many hours. Do I pay myself?
You can do it one of two ways. You can either pay yourself, a salary or a wage, or you can just take your income out of the bottom line profit. It ends up being the same either way. If you pay yourself, just to use a number, if you pay yourself $10 an hour for 40 hours, it's $400. Or if you don't pay yourself at all, that $400 is in the bottom line profit. Now, your accountant may have a recommendation as to how you want to do that, but that's going to be more based on your financial picture. What are you doing? Do you have other businesses? He's going to guide you, or she's going to guide you as to what kind of makes the most sense for you.
Okay, and do we get our own accountant?
Yeah, you're always going to want to do that. It's a good idea. Give me a call if you have questions, 702-637-3389, or you can always call your representative, and their phone number would have been on the bottom of the email that you received. And I hope I have the opportunity to work with a lot of you over the next number of weeks. So if you have more questions later, give me a call or send me an email. The only bad question is the one that you don't ask. So look forward to speaking with you all again. Thank you all, and have a great evening. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You all do the same. All right, very good. Look forward to it.
DollarStoreServices.com